Hi and welcome to this Key Learning Initiative video. Today's topic is Grade 12 Finance and we're talking about loans. Before we get going, please remember to like and to share my video. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, and your comments are always welcome, so please do leave a comment in the comment section. But let's get going with today's lesson. Now we have a number of definitions with this section. Please, guys, you need to know these off by heart. They are very, very important. And the first one is a bond. It's a type of loan taken out to buy property. So if you want to buy a flat or a house or a townhouse, an apartment, whatever, as long as it's about property and you're taking out a loan, it's normally called a bond. Second thing is a purchase price. This is the amount that an item costs, sometimes referred to as the cash price, and it's normally given in the question. Next definition, the deposit, a sum of money payable on the purchase of something before a loan is calculated, normally based on a percentage. So, deposit equals the percentage deposit times the purchase price. Say if they require a 20% deposit, so you 20% of the purchase price, that gives us our deposit. Next definition, loan amount. This is the money you borrow to buy an item or property. Important formula. The loan amount equals the purchase price minus the deposit. That deposit is what we've just calculated or just spoken about. Our next definition, monthly repayments, is the portion of the loan that is paid back every month, normally based on a loan repayment table. Now we have a very important formula. Monthly repayments equals your loan amount divided by 1,000 times by your factor. We have factor tables, and in our examples I'll show you how to work out what the factor is, but you need to know this formula, otherwise you won't be able to do any of the monthly repayments. Next definition is the real cost of the loan. That is the total cost of the loan. How do we work out the real cost of the loan? It's the monthly repayments times the number of repayments. And so if you'd work out that your monthly repayment was 5,000 Rand and the number of payments was 20, you'd multiply 5,000 by 20 to get your real cost of your loan. Next definition, interest paid. Now your interest paid is your real cost minus your loan amount. Again, how much did you actually pay and how much was the loan amount originally, and that is how much interest you paid. The total cost of your entire thing is your real cost plus your deposit. Your real cost plus your deposit. And if we know all of those definitions, this section is not that difficult. But let's get going with an example. Example 1. Given the following, and our loan information is as such. It's a bond of 1.2 million. A deposit that's required is 8%. The interest rate is 8.5%, and the loan period is 20 years. And they're going to ask us 6 questions based on this information, and normally your tests go in a very similar order. So let's have a look. A. Determine the deposit amount. Now if you remember back, our deposit amount is 8% of our 1.2 million. That's how we work out our deposit amount, our 8% of 1.2 million. How do we do that mathematically? It's 8% times, and 1.2 million, if we write it out in full, is 1 200 and then 000. We put that in our calculator, we press equals, and we get 96,000, and that is the amount of deposit we have to put down. B, determine the loan amount. Okay, now if you remember from your formulas, your loan amount equals your purchase price minus your deposit. Well, my loan amount then equals 1.2 million minus 96,000. My purchase price, as I said, is 1.2 million. My deposit is 96,000. So I then put that in my calculator, I press equals, and eventually I get my loan amount to 1,104,000. C, determine the monthly repayments. Alright, now this is where we have to use our big formula. Now, our monthly repayments equals the loan amount divided by 1,000 times by your factor. So that means monthly repayments equals my loan amount. Well, we've just worked out our loan amount, and that's 1.104 million divided by 1,000 times by, and now our factor. To work out our factor, we have to look at a factor table. They will always give this to you in an exam. Alright, they will always, you don't have to know this table off by heart, please remember that. So, let's look at what our factor table looks like. And there we have it. On the left hand side, you've got your interest, and all the way down 7%, 7.25%, etc., etc., all the way to 10%. Then across the top on the right hand side, or to the right hand side, we've got the number of years for the bond. So let's have a look. Our interest rate is 8.5%, and so down on the left hand side we find 8.5%. Next thing we look at, my years, it is 20 years, and so I find 20 at the top there. Now I follow my table and I get there to 8.68. 8.68. And that is my factor. My factor is 8.68. See where I got it from? The 8.5% is my interest rate. It's for 20 years, and so my loan factor is 8.68. I put all that in my calculator and I get 9,582 Rand and 72 cents. D. Determine the real cost of the loan. Now we use our formula. My real cost equals my monthly repayments times by the number of repayments. So that means my real cost equals my monthly repayments, which I've just worked out at 9,582 and 72 cents, times by my number of payments. Now my number of payments times by, now I have 20 years. Okay, 20 years. But remember, in each year there are 12 months. So it's times 12 because it's in years. Alright, and close the brackets there. Do you need the brackets? Not really, but maybe just for teaching purposes it helps understand where I get those numbers from. We put that in our calculator and we get our real cost equals 2,299,852 and 80 cents. That is our real cost. E. Determine the interest charged. Again, we need to know our formula. Our interest charged is the real cost minus your loan amount. So my interest equals my real cost, just worked out as 2.2 etc. million, minus my loan amount, which we worked out to 1.1 etc. million. We put that in our calculator, we press equals, and we get that our interest that we had to pay on our bond was 1.195852,80 million. Quite a lot of interest. F. Determine the total cost. Now again, if you remember your formula, your total cost equals your real cost plus the deposit. So that means our total cost equals 2.2 etc. million plus our deposit of 96,000. We put that in our calculator, we get our answer, and that means that our total cost equals 2.395852,80 million. Alright, so that's our total cost of our loan. And those are the 6 things that we need for most of these type of examples. Let's look at a second example, example 2, and we are given the following loan information: a bond of 2.2 million, a deposit of 15%, an interest rate of 8%, and a loan period of 25 years. And A, determine the deposit amount. Now again, if you remember your formula, and hopefully you're hearing me say that a lot, because this section is dependent on you remembering your formulas. So that equals 15%, that's the deposit, times by the amount of your bond, which is 2.2 million. We put that in our calculator, we press equals, and we get 330,000. And that is my deposit. B. Determine the loan amount. Now again, hopefully you remember your formula. Your loan amount equals your purchase price minus your deposit. Well, my purchase price is 2.2 million minus 300,000, which is my deposit. And so I put that into my calculator, and eventually I get my loan amount equal to 1.87 million. And that is my loan amount. C. Determine the monthly repayments. And again, our formula, monthly repayments equals loan amount divided by 1,000 times by our factor. Remember, a factor we get from our factor table. That means my monthly repayments equals my loan amount, which is 1.87 million. We've just worked that out. Divided by 1,000 and times by our factor. Now we look on our factor table and we bring it in and put it on the left hand side there. Now our interest rate is 8%. And so on the left hand side we find 8%. Our loan period is for 25 years, and so I find my 25 years. Now I follow along the blocks in my table and I get my factor to 7.72, and that is my factor for a 25-year bond at 8%, 7.72. And so I times by 7.72. Have a look, make sure you can see how I get 7.72. Let's get rid of that, and that means my monthly repayments equals, you put that all into your calculator, 14,436.40, and that is, or those are, the monthly repayments. D. Determine the real cost of the loan. Again, our formula, the real cost equals the monthly repayments times the number of payments. Well, my monthly repayments we've just worked out, and that's 14,436.40. Now remember, the loan period is 25 years, and so we multiply by 25. Also remember that there are 12 months in each year, and so we multiply by 12. We put that all in our calculator and we press equals, and we get our real cost equal to 4,330,920 Rand. So that's the real cost. E. Determine the interest charged. Okay, again we remember our formula. My interest equals my real cost minus my loan amount. So interest equals my real cost, which we've just worked out to 4,330,920, minus my loan amount, which we worked out previously to 1.87 million. We put that in our calculator, we press equals, and that means the interest that we've had to pay is 2.460920 million. Okay, so almost 2.5 million Rand we've had to pay on interest. F. Determine the total cost. So my formula, total cost equals the real cost plus the deposit. So my total cost equals my real cost, which we've just calculated, plus my deposit, which is 330,000. I put that in my calculator, which means my total cost is 4,660,920 Rand. And that is the total cost. Well, I hope this has been helpful. Remember to learn all the formulas. Please, I can't say that enough, guys. But yeah, if you learn those formulas, it should be easy to do. Anyway, thank you for watching this Key Learning Initiative video on loans, specifically finance. I hope it has been helpful. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Your comments are always welcome, so please leave a comment and share so that more and more people can watch these videos. I hope this has been helpful.